Rick MacDonnell really gets around on Booktube these days. Hi everybody, it's Kim at Middle of the Book March. This is my quick video for the Booktube Spin number 2, hosted by Rick MacDonnell. I did the Booktube Spin number 1, and the book I ended up reading was Ann Tyler's Redhead by the Side of the Road. It was okay. I finished it. I read it with Judy Brown, and we liked it, but it didn't blow me away. And I wasn't sure I was going to take part in the Booktube Spin number 2, just because of life, but I decided, you know what, it's only one book and I have 2 months to read it, and I had a really good time setting this up last time. What I've done is I've picked 20 books, and tomorrow the 28th, Rick is going to spin a virtual wheel and get a number from 1 to 20. And whichever book of mine in my list corresponds to that number is the book I will read from May through June. We have 2 months to read one book. Totally doable. What I have done is I have a mixture of fiction and nonfiction. However, mine are all Kindle books. I went through my Kindle. I started at the books that have been there the longest, and I worked up. I have books on my Kindle that have been there for 10 years, and I haven't read them yet. I'm still interested, so that's what this list is made up of. I went from the bottom up, and I picked out books that started off being there the longest, that I was the most interested in reading for this project. So that's what I did. What I'm going to do is I'm going to name you the books from 1 to 20, and I'm going to put a picture up here because they're all on my Kindle. I don't have physical copies. You know what? I have physical copies of a couple of them, but I will most likely read them on my Kindle for this project. So, number 1 is The Silver Linings Playbook by Matthew Quick. This was a movie with Bradley Cooper and Jennifer Lawrence, and I think Robert De Niro made an appearance in it. Very quickly, it's the story of the character played by Bradley Cooper, who is dealing and living with a mental illness where I believe he was just discharged from a psychiatric hospital, and it discusses the dynamic of his family along with a new budding relationship with Jennifer Lawrence's character, and I think they take up ballroom dancing. So, number 2 is The Fiery Cross by Diana Gabaldon, and this is the 5th book in the Outlander series. I have read the first 4, and I actually read probably a third of this one, The Fiery Cross, which is a continuation of the story of Claire and Jamie Fraser. So I'm not going to say anything about it because it's the 5th in a series. But I want to get to it because I started it and put it down and I never got back to it years later. And I have been watching the show. Number 3 is Call the Nurse, the true stories of a country nurse on a Scottish isle. And this is by Mary MacLeod. I am fascinated with Scotland and this type of area. And I would love to read the experiences of a country nurse in a remote village in Scotland. Number 4 is A Game of Thrones by George R.R. Martin. Yes, I watched the entire HBO series. Yes, I was obsessed, and I didn't even get to the series until much later. I watched all 10 seasons in a binge over a few weeks, and in my opinion, that was the best way to do it. But I do want to read the book, just kind of to say I did it. Number 5, Seneca Falls and the Origins of the Women's Rights Movement by Sally G. McMillen. I don't believe there's any description necessary. Number 6, The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes by Arthur Conan Doyle. As you can see, these books are all over the map for description, for genre, for content. That's what my Kindle says. Number 7, The Brontes, Wild Genius on the Moors, The Story of a Literary Family by Juliet Barker. Again, it's a literary nonfiction about the Bronte family. Number 8, The Shipping News by Annie Proulx. And again, this is a book I have in physical copy, but I also have on my Kindle, and I've had it for such a long time. I became more interested in reading this book after hearing Freddie from Sluggish Reader rave about it. And if I can find his video where he reviews that book, I will post the link below. Number 9, On Grief and Grieving, 5 Stages of Loss by Elizabeth Kubler-Ross and David Kessler. Again, a book I've had on my Kindle. I think I also have this one in hard copy for a very long time. Without getting into too much detail, I have experienced major losses over my adult life, one after another. And this is a topic that has become near to my heart. And I have considered over the years taking some courses in counseling with a specialization in grief counseling. So I've been really fascinated with this book for so long and really want to get to it. Number 10, a classic, Northanger Abbey by Jane Austen. I've got a physical copy. It's on my Kindle. I'm getting through Jane Austen. So far, I've read Sense and Sensibility and Pride and Prejudice. I think Courtney Ferreter and I are going to be reading Emma in Jane Austen July. So I'm going to try to get to Northanger Abbey. Okay, that's the first 10. There's no organization to this. There's no categories. It's fiction and nonfiction all mixed together. All Kindle books that I've had forever that I've wanted to read. So that's it. They're just all thrown in the Kindle bucket. Number 11, The Problem of Pain by C.S. Lewis. Again, C.S. Lewis, famous Christian apologist, and he's got many, many, many books and writings and letters, so I wanted to read that one. There's somewhat of some commonalities in some of these books because the books that are on my Kindle the longest were either downloaded or purchased back when I was still in seminary, so many of them have a Christian religious theme to them. That's probably the only commonality. Let's see, number 12, The Lemon Tree, An Arab, a Jew, and the Heart of the Middle East by Sandy Tolan. I don't think I need to describe that anymore either, nonfiction. Again, also really wanted to read that for a long time. Why have I never gotten to these so far? Number 13, A Small Furry Prayer, Dog Rescue and the Meaning of Life by Stephen Kotler. Gonna make me cry. I know for a fact this is gonna make me bawl. If it's a book about dogs, a book about animal rescue, I'm gonna cry my flippin' eyes out. Number 14, A Plain Account of Christian Perfection by John Wesley. John Wesley is the founder and originator of Wesleyan Methodist theology. Dying to read that one. Number 15, A Year of Biblical Womanhood by Rachel Held Evans. Rachel Held Evans was a young Christian theologian and author. She wrote this book where she spent an entire year living literally by what the Bible said. And she was trying to prove a point of how Christian fundamentalists take the Bible so literally that it wouldn't be at all possible to live in a contemporary world that way. She wrote so prolifically about her experiences in the Christian church, especially fundamentalist conservative, and leaving the church and her exploration and journey to find something that she fit better into and that fit for her. She tragically died a year or so ago from a sudden illness, and she was only in her mid-30s, so we lost a good one. Let's see, that was number 15. Number 16, Thin Places, a memoir. It's a spiritual memoir by Mary E. DeMuth. That's all I know. I really like memoirs, and that one looked very good. Number 17, Joan, 40 Years of Life, Loss, and Friendship by Sarah Davidson. This is Sarah Davidson's nonfiction memoir about Joan Didion and her relationship with Joan Didion. Number 18, The Journal of John Wesley, another Wesley selection by John Wesley. And number 19, I am shocked that I haven't read this yet because this is almost mandatory for booktubers. But no, I have not read it. I have the hard copy. I have the Kindle. I probably have the audiobook too. Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. When I first got on Booktube, I saw this book on every single booktuber's channel. Literally, I don't even know if I'm exaggerating. I don't think I am. And this is almost like you got to hand in your Booktube card if you haven't read Rebecca. And I have not heard one bad review. The last book, number 20, is Essays by Wallace Shawn. Wallace Shawn is an actor and a playwright. He was Vizzini in The Princess Bride. And for many years, I've known about him, and I've known he's also an intellectual and very comical expert, comical acting and writing and that sort of thing. And Vizzini from The Princess Bride, I think he was probably one of my favorite characters. So those are my books from 1 to 20. I'm going to wait for Rick to spin that wheel tomorrow on the 28th. I think he's going to do it in the morning. And when I find out what book I'm going to be reading, I'll probably include that in my Bookish Week video this coming Saturday. So let me know in the comments below if you're taking part in the Booktube Spin number 2. All the links of everybody's videos that I mentioned will be down below, including Rick's video, and I'll put his video for Booktube Spin number 1, because that gives you some more details. That is it for me. I hope you're having fun. I hope you're reading great stuff, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.